Hi everyone, this is a video that I want to make to demonstrate healing an imported mesh which has internal walls. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into the mesh environment and insert mesh. I have a file on my computer which is an STL file, this one here, and there it is. Now maybe in the first view we look at this, everything looks fine, it's imported. I can take a closer look and it doesn't seem to have any problems. I might notice that there's a warning though in the browser telling me that the mesh isn't oriented. So before proceeding to do other work with this mesh, it would be good to understand that problem. And the first port of call would be in the repair tool, mesh repair. And here we have to remember to select the mesh, and it gives the same warning, the mesh is not oriented. But quite quickly it advises me that I should check the detailed analysis for a granular analysis of specific issues. So that's this detailed analysis panel here. And it's highlighting some triangles. It's telling me that there's non-manifold areas on the mesh, and it's colored in all the triangles that are touching those non-manifold areas. If I move the view around, I can just about see that there's an internal wall there, and all the triangles that are touching it have been highlighted. This triangle on the top is touching this triangle on the top along this edge, but also there's a wall that's touching that edge. So this edge is not touching only two triangles, but more triangles. That's why it's non-manifold. Another way to see the issue is to set up a section analysis. I can choose a plane and I can slide that plane through my mesh, see inside of it, and here very easily we can see that there's an internal wall there. The internal wall is shaded both blue and brown, with the colours fighting each other, which suggests to me that actually there's two internal walls that are coincident, they're in the same place. I'll keep that section analysis on, and what we want to do is eliminate that internal wall, which can change my mesh from a non-oriented mesh to an oriented one, a clear definition of a solid with inside and outside. So if I try to select that internal wall, all I'm doing is selecting the whole mesh. So this is where generate face groups can come in. If I select the mesh and use the fast generation, I can see that it's colouring in regions of the mesh that are distinct from each other. There's the cylinder there and there's the side wall, the top face, but I can also select the internal face. So that's what I want to delete. That's great. Now I can select it. Now if I just hit the delete key, it warns me that the feature is referenced by other features in the timeline. Maybe I don't understand what that means. I just hit delete anyway. And what it's done is deleted the whole mesh, which isn't what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to undo. And the way to make a modification to this mesh, like deleting the wall, is to go into direct edit. So I select the mesh and say yes. Now I'm in the direct edit mode. It will allow me to select that internal wall, and I can either hit the delete key or I can select the second internal wall. I can also choose the delete option here. Now if I look at the view, there's no internal wall left. I think I've fixed everything. We can go into the repair tool, select our mesh, and it gives me a green tick. The mesh is closed, the mesh is oriented, the mesh has a positive volume, everything's succeeded. So I can finish direct editing. I've now got a new mesh. I still have the first mesh, it's hidden. That's the first mesh that has the internal wall, but it's created a new mesh for me which no longer has the warning sign, and it's a clean solid. And for example, I might choose to convert that mesh using Prismatic conversion and create a solid body. Let's hide the analysis tool. So there we are. I've cleaned up the mesh and all is well. I thought I'd just show you one alternative approach. Back when I was in Direct Edit and I wanted to delete those internal walls, maybe I didn't have an appropriate section analysis. Maybe I didn't have a section analysis set up that I wanted to use, but I could see that there's an internal wall in there. Well, another way to select it without using a section analysis is to use the press and hold on the mouse. What that offers you is a set of face groups. For everywhere that you select, it will present you with all the face groups in that line of sight through your mouse pointer, from the front through to the back. So if I select here, I have 2 face groups. If I select here, I have 2 face groups. That's the top and the bottom of the mesh. But if I select here, I have 4 face groups. That's including the face groups that are the internal wall. So at this stage, I can select that face group, delete. Now there's only 3 face groups, select the middle one, and delete. And I've been able to clean up the mesh. Let's just verify that. Green tick. I've been able to clean up the mesh without using a section analysis. Okay, so that's a little bit extra, an alternative way to do it. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was if we go right back to the beginning, when we had our non-manifold mesh, I built the section view to see the internal wall. And another approach that might be useful is to use a wireframe view. That can sometimes help. So here's a wireframe view, and there the section wall becomes more evident. The internal wall becomes more evident again. Okay, and I'll put that back to shaded with visible edges. Okay, that's the end of my demo. Thanks.